What's up, everybody? Here back with more my commander decks, and we just finished off with Ghave, Spores, my first deck. And with my first deck, we it was more of a fungal tribal, and then turned out to be cEDH, and turning into be more cEDH. So I wanted to make my old deck again, back with fungus and just fungus kindred deck. What better way to make that deck with Thelon of Havenwood? So this is a remake of Ghave, but turned into what is the old school of fungus. The only lord really to play. Green, each fungus gets +1/+1 for each spore counter on it. And then activated ability, green and black, remove a fungus card from graveyard from the game, put a spore counter on each fungus in play. So a little confusing if you don't know what a fungus is. He is not a fungus himself. He's an elf druid. But let's get a fungus in here to kind of show you what it is. Here we go. Mr. Thelon himself, the most basic of fungi. They're fun guys. Just the 1-drop Thelon. It's a 1/1. During your upkeep, put a spore counter on Thelon. Then you can activate an ability for 0, remove 3 spore counters from Thelon to put a sapling token into play. Treat this token as a 1/1 green creature. So funguses are different from saplings. Saplings are saplings. But all funguses are going to have this ability or a similar one to it where they, on upkeep, you're going to put a spore counter on it. And after the 3rd upkeep, so you play this on turn 1. On turn 4, you're going to be able to make 1 sapling. Pretty slow, but they will slowly grow up and get bigger and show themselves really multiply over and over and over again. But you don't have to. What with Thelon is you don't have to go wide if you don't need to. The more spore counters they have, right, they're going to get bigger. So every single turn, turn 2, this will be a 2/2. Turn 3 will be 3/3. And they can get pretty dang big eventually. And if this Thelon dies, you can activate his ability and exile this Thelon from your graveyard and then put spore counters all over amongst all the other fungi. And this guy has an activated ability of green-black, so that makes his color identity Golgari. So that luckily makes us a Golgari deck, which will help us out build our deck. Let's get our lineup of fungi. Here's Thelon Devourer, just a bit different. You can focus. 3 mana during your upkeep, put a spore counter on it. Then it has remove 3 spore counters, make a sapling. That's what they're all going to have. But every other one besides Thelon is going to have another activated ability. This one is sacrifice a sapling to give this guy Thelon Devourer +1/+2 until end of turn. So free sack outlet is pretty nice, especially when we combine that off with like spoiler alert, we're aristocrats and we're going to be blood artists. Let's just pull them out right now. If I have a blood artist and I have enough saplings, this can be a free sack outlet to sack all the rest of my board and then hopefully kill off the board with them losing 1 life and gaining a life. So we're basically a go wide deck with the second ability of just beating them down. Just the classic token go wide deck. Let's get some more fungi. This one, 2-drop. Gets the spore counters, remove 3, get a sapling, but has sack a sapling. Target creature gains haste until end of turn. Haste is pretty good, pretty cheap one. You want to get these out early, right? And so to start getting those spore counters going as fast as possible. Here is a pretty high drop one, Savage Thelon, 5 mana, has its usual text. It's a 5/2, but you can sack a sapling to regenerate target fungus. So you can save all the rest of your fungi whenever you need to. He's kind of slow, but you kind of have to pick and choose which fungi you can run because there's only so many of them. Death Spore Thelon. This is honestly probably the best one out there. Luckily, we are Golgari, so we can run Blood Artist. But This one, sacrifice a sapling. Target creature gets -1/-1 to land a turn. So this is the removal. This is the one everyone moans and groans about. Like, oh no, Deathspore Thallid is out. This is the main bad guy that you want. Then here's another very, very good one. Utopia Mycon. He's good because he's a 1-drop. And then, so you can get those spore counters out early. And then you can sacrifice a sapling, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Helps mana fix, helps just get all of my spores out as quickly as possible and to get those spore counters going. Thallid Shell Dweller, just a quick 2-drop, 0/5, so it can stick around, help defend yourself so you can get to this late game with a bunch of spore counters on there. Thallid Germinator, 3-drop. Sacrifice a sapling. Target creature gets +1/+1 to end turn. This can be used as a combat trick or someone using a lightning bolt or something. This saves you from all of that, so that's always very important. A good one, good fungi to have. All right, this is one of the best ones. The Spore Sour Thallid. Back in the day, he's a 4/4 fungi. Back in the day, I used to call him Taco. I still call him Taco. But I don't know, he looks like a taco to me. He kind of has that fume coming out and he's in taco shape. I don't know. But at the beginning of your upkeep, put a spore counter on each fungus you control. That's different than the rest. So this pollinates all of them. And then only has the sack 3 sapling, or remove 3 spore counters and create a sapling. But this is the main powerhouse to really go through, because this goes on top of whatever these guys are getting as well. So this guy will get his own spore counter and 1 from Taco. So very important. One of the key cards of the deck. Do we have any more Thallids? Yes, the other very, very important one is going to be Sporloff Ancient Fungus. 4/4, he's a 5-drop, but I'm getting him up. He put a spore counter on him. But then creatures you control have removed 2 spore counters from this creature to put a sapling creature token onto the battlefield. So you kind of like build up, get him a bit bigger, and then finally land this guy to just make tons and tons and tons of saplings. Pretty important. And the last one, but not least, the Cyclotrope Thallid. He's a 3-drop, so right in the middle, gets those spore counters, but you can have to pay 1 because it's very strong. So 1 mana, sacrifice a sapling, draw a card. This is our draw card engine. That's mainly what we want to be using all of these saplings for, is the fodder of drawing cards to really close out the game. So these are all of our fungi, and I usually always on upkeep, I call water my flowers, and I kind of just do the and they all grow and get bigger and bigger. Now let's see what we have on our sideboard of creatures. It wouldn't be a fungus deck without Slimefoot. I have built this deck before Slimefoot. Like I said, this was originally Ghave, but Slimefoot kind of just fit exactly where you want it to be. Whenever sapling you control dies, Slimefoot Stowaway deals 1 damage to each opponent and gain 1 life. They can pay 4 mana to create a sapling creature token. Very good. Spore Crown Thallid. Each other creature that you control that's a fungus or sapling gets +1/+1. Really love how it says fungus 2 in addition. That really like is the callback for this deck that they're making this. But also he is a fungus. Unlike my commander, whenever I place Taco or the Spore Thallid at the beginning of your upkeep, put a spore counter on each fungus, he will get the spore counters, which Thelon will buff him up. But also, if I get the combo of Sporloff Ancient, he'll be able to remove and make saplings for myself. Spore Flower, a classic one. During your upkeep, put a spore counter on it, and then remove 3 spore counters from Spore Flower. Fog. No creatures deal combat damage this turn. Very good at stalling. Doesn't make saplings, but will stall the game out very long. We have Spore Mound. It's a 5 mana 3/3 landfall, make a sapling, which is very slow, but there's going to be something tricky with this one that I will put him off to the side for later. We'll explain why we have him a little bit later. Big green, if you're going wide deck, you need Regal Force. So a 7-drop, 5/5. When he enters the battlefield, draw a card for each green creature you control. And we're going to have lots of fungi. We're going to have lots of saplings. We're going to draw lots of cards. This is more in the land package, but Dryad Arbor, I like being an aristocrat deck. It's always nice to have Dryad Arbor or some sort of creature while also being a land. We have Evolution Sage. I'll have an English version pop up on the side, but it's just landfall, proliferate. So that's pretty huge, where these are counters. Spore counters are counters, so we get to get an extra one of them. And that is going to fuel our sapling army just so much faster. And if we have something like, Winding Constrictor. Here we go. 2/3 for 2. If one or more counters will be placed on an artifact or creature you control, put that many counters plus 1 are placed on that permanent instead. And if you get one or more counters, you get that many counters plus 1 instead. But this is going to double up on all of our spore counters. Plus, Evolution Sage Populate, you are placing it onto it, so you get an extra one. This is going to times 2 our whole production of getting saplings. Now, it wouldn't be a sapling deck without the mighty Mycoloth. This was like my pet card since like day one. This used to control the battlefield a long time ago, before I even had fungus with Ghave. Mycoloth was the dude. I started off with Shards of Alara. This man is the epitome of green and all in. It's 5 mana, 4/4, but Devour 2. So the more you devour, the more you sacrifice your board, the bigger he gets. And you want him pretty big. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a 1/1 green sapling creature token into play for each +1/+1 counter on Mycoloth. So every time it's your turn, you're going to make a crap ton. More and more and more armies. I usually end up going very all in. I tend to not anymore, but you sacrifice everything you have, make him a 20/20. On your turn, you're going to make 16 saplings, but someone always has the Swords of Plowshares or something to just take care of it. So that's a little scary and rough, but still in the deck, still awesome. Just don't go all in. Now, creature deck, we have Beast Whisperer. Whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card. This is going to help us just fuel our deck, get us faster and faster. I play a fungus, get a card. Corpsejack Menace. If one or more +1/+1 counters will be placed on a creature you control, twice as many +1/+1 counters are placed on it instead. He is a fungus, and there is +1/+1 counters in this deck, they're not going to be in the fungus package, but it is there. He is a fungi. It will be useful a little bit down the line. Now we got the Ramp, Arbor Elf, we got Llanowar Elves, we have Deathrite Shaman, we got Elvish Mystic, and we got Elves of Deep Shadow. Just early ramp, get us into the zone. We're also going to be running a Zulaport Cutthroat with our Blood Artist. The Kazanda Guildmage is an Elf Shaman, but once you get up there, it's a 2/2. You could pay 1 Golgari, target creature gets +1/+1 and gains Intimidate till end turn. Not going to do that. It's the 4 mana, sacrifice a non-token creature, put X 1/1 green sapling creature tokens onto the battlefield, where X is the sacrificed creature's toughness. So this can really get out of hand once I have things going. It's a sack outlet. If they target my Mycoloth and we have the mana up, then we can re-get whatever we want on the board. Or if we had certain double up enchantments, spoiler alert, doubling season, things like that, we'll really get out of hand. What better sack outlet to do with our stuff than Yawgmoth himself? Yawgmoth's Thran Physician is just insane. Insane. And this is going to get moans and groans across the whole table. But 4 mana, 2/4, protect from humans, but he has pay 1 life, sacrifice another creature, put a -1/-1 counter on up to one target creature, and draw a card. Insane. If you have Blood Artist on the board, you gain that life right back. So you sacrifice the saplings or whatever, remove your opponent's stuffs, draw some cards. And honestly, the only deck I really use this final ability for is in this deck. 2 black, discard a card, proliferate. That's all of our Spore counters. All the Spore counters are going to be there. Amazing. Mycoloth +1/+1 counters, proliferate. Super, super good. Super crazy. What better way to close out the game than a Crater Hoof? If you have big and wide deck, you use Crater Hoof. And then probably the all-star of the deck. This is what you tutor for first. Always get this first. This will just run the game on its own. Tendershoot Dryad. Now, like my all-time favorite card. Sorry, Mycoloth. Tendershoot Dryad's now in. 2/2 Ascend. So if you control 10 or more permanents, you get the City's Blessing forever. Then if you have the City's Blessing, saplings you control get +2/+2. But most importantly, at the beginning of each upkeep, create a 1/1 sapling creature token. That's 4 saplings on each round. It's going to come into your turn. Super insane. Super awesome. We're the aristocrats. Go wide. Super deck. And those are my creatures I have. Now we'll get to what next? We'll do sorceries next. We have Demonic Tutor to find us, the Crater Hoof Behemoth, the Tendershoot Dryad, whatever we really need it for at the moment. Natural Order. This will get us that Crater Hoof. Or if we need that Regal Behemoth to draw some cards. Whatever we really need. Regal Force, draw some cards. Or if we really want like Taco or Sporloff Ancient, whatever we really need. It's usually going to be Crater Hoof to close out the games, or maybe a Tendershoot Dryad. But Natural Order, super crazy, super awesome. Harmonize, draw 3 cards, sorcery speed, pretty good. Green Sun Zenith, find us in that Tendershoot. But a favorite play of mine with Green Sun Zenith, if I'm running Green Sun Zenith, I usually like to pack Dryad Arbor. That if you can turn 1 Green Sun Zenith for 0, crazy, right? But Dryad Arbor is a green creature. It has that green little dot right there. That means he's green. You pay 1, you ramp yourself since you play a forest for turn. You play Green Sun Zenith for 0, get Dryad Arbor. Dryad Arbor gets on the battlefield. You're at 2, and then you turn 2, you play another land, and you have 3 mana. Super good. And then our last sorcery is in Garruk's Wake. Destroy all creatures you don't control and all planeswalkers you don't control. It's really expensive, yes, but I save my board, which is most important, and clear the way out. Maybe Thelon will give enough buffs to my creatures that they can close out the game. Those are the sorceries. Now we have our instants. Scatter the Seeds. It will be a free spell to get out 3 little sapling creature tokens. Pretty nice. Not the strongest, but free spell is a free spell. Get you out there on the board. Could really help. Assassin's Trophy, just generic, good. It's the new Beast Within. Destroy target permanent opponent controller searches your library for a basic land. Put it on the battlefield. Shuffle. Really gets rid of that stacks piece that's like hurting us. Court of Calling. Convoke is crazy. It's going to be free. Search the library for a creature card with a convert mana cost X or less. Put it on the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Can search for Yawgmoth. Can search for Crater Hoof. The green pips are going to be basically free because we have mostly green creatures. Sprout Swarm. We have a little bit of a way of making like this card's infamous for going infinite because it has buyback 3 and 2 mana, so 5 mana in Convoke. If you can make 5 saplings by making one, you make 1 sapling, and if you can get like 5 mana during each of that, you can just keep convoking over and over. It's a little tough, but this is just basically if I have nothing else to do, Sprout Swarm, get something out, and then wait for next turn, Sprout Swarm if I have nothing else. Second Harvest, for each token on the battlefield, put a token on the battlefield that's a copy of that permanent. Just double up on my saplings. Abrupt Decay, more good removal. Crop Rotation is going to find us our Gaia's Cradle. And then Golgari Charm. All creatures get -1/-1 till end of turn, or it's destroy target enchantment, or regenerate each creature you control. It's usually the regenerate each creature you control, but I like using this because it's very modal and I can choose what I want to do with it. Those are my instants. Now let's go to enchantments. And yes, of course, we're packing Doubling Season. This not only makes double Saprolands, but if an effect will put one or more counters on a permanent you control, it places twice as many as that permanent. So this is going to be our Spore counter craziness. This is definitely the best piece to the deck. That's what I missed with Ghave, is that I used to use like Doubling Season was the card in my cloth, but it's just you can combo off with Ghave with anything else, and this is the fungi kindred deck. And you'll need Doubling Season. You'll want Parallel Lives, of course. Then we have this card, Life and Limb. All forests and all saplings are 1/1 green sapling creature tokens and forest lands in addition to its other types. Which means we're back to Spore Mound. This is a 2-card combo. Landfall, make a sapling. Sapling is actually land. Trigger Spore Mound, make a sapling. Wait, that sapling is land. Land into the battlefield, make a sapling. Then it's land, make a sapling. Then that just goes infinite. And actually, if you don't have any way to do anything, you tied the game. You drew out the game. You need to figure out, before you commit to this combo, you need to figure out some way of stopping the combo. Luckily, if you had like Slime Foot, or if you had Zulaport Cutthroat or Blood Artist, these are whenever they die, but which is pretty easy because all of our Thalids have, besides this Thalid, have sacrifice a sapling. Do something. It's for free sack outlet. So as long as we have the free sack outlet and some way to close out the game, then this is how we do it. This is our one and only infinite combo that we're going to run, but I like doing this just in case we need to close out the game, because sometimes in those games you need to figure out how to close out the game. That's why Spore Mound's in there. Then we have Evolutionary Leap. Love this card. Green mana, sacrifice a creature, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card, put that card in your hand, rest and bottom. This is our saplings are basically just fodder into this deck, and it's amazing that it's card draw per sapling, which is just so good. If they were going to you like block with the sapling, right, and then on the damage you pay green, sacrifice the sapling, their creature is still blocked, and you're going to get a card off of that. Super good. Leyline of the Void, I like running just to stop other people. If a card would be put into the opponent's graveyard from anywhere, exile instead. A decent stacks piece I like putting in. Then we have Moldervine Reclamation. Creature you control would die, you gain a life, and you draw a card. This could also be the combo for Life and Limb, that you eventually have the sack outlet with the fungi and just keep drawing cards until you can find some other win con. And then, a classic oldie but a goodie. I still love running Dictate of Erebos. Flash, enchantment, 5 mana, kind of a lot. But whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent sacks a creature. Just brutal. I love playing this card. They attack into me, I do some blocks, and then flash and dictate, and it is just oof. Brutal. Those are the enchantments. Let's get to the artifacts. And we have the closer, the finisher, Coat of Arms. 5 mana artifact. Each creature gets +1/+1 for each other creature on the battlefield that shares at least one creature type with it. This is a bit scary to just slam out. I don't slam this out anymore just as turn 5. This is, you need to know you're going to win that turn or else lots of other people are either playing Kindred or there's just accidental +1/+1. You're playing with 4 people in total, and there's going to be a lot of creature types that elf, druid, they're going to be out there. There's going to be some weird things. You do not want to pass a turn with this, but this gets ridiculous, and this will close out the game. We got Soul Ring. We have Trendosphere. I like Trendosphere just to slow the game down. This really, we're a fair quote-unquote deck where we will play like things that cost usually 3 or more and be fine with satisfied with that for that turn. Whereas other people like Izzet players or Storm people are really going to hate Trendosphere. As long as it's untapped, each spell that would cost less than 3 mana costs 3 mana to cast. This goes even above layers and layers. If you have mana reducers, they still will have to pay 3 mana. It is a brutal card. And one of my favorite things is I've always had opening hands with Mana Crypt, land, Trendosphere just to... I already have the 3 mana now, and I'll be able to play stuff, but my opponents will have to wait a long time to do anything. One of my favorite opening hands is that. We got a nice Mana Crypt here. Then Dampening Sphere, slow down the game. Slow down the game. This card's also brutal if you haven't read Dampening Sphere. If a land is tapped for 2 or more mana, it produces just colorless instead. Oh, and like I said, we're fine with playing 1 spell a turn, fair deck. Each spell a player casts costs 1 more to cast for each other spell that player has cast this turn. So no storming off, no double spelling. Comes up way more often than you think. Is super, super brutal. Talisman of Resilience. And we got Skull Clamp, of course. We need Skull Clamp. +1, -1, equip 1, draw 2 cards. That's perfect for our Saprolines, our fodder, our little boys. Golgari Signet, foil. We have, of course, Ashnod's Altar. If you're playing Aristocrats, you need Ashnod's Altar. 3 mana, sack a creature, gain 2 colorless. And you can go actually kind of infinite. Yeah, there is probably an infinite. Oh, there for sure is. If I have, maybe. Where are you, Slimefoot? Looking for Slimefoot right now. Because he has a pay 4 activated ability to make a Saproline. If I had... Oh, he's gone. If I had Parallel Lives, Doubling Season out. Oh, there's... And Slimefoot, create 4, create 1. Double. Sack. Oh yeah. He deals damage. There's another combo there. Very unlikely, but you gotta have Ashnod's Altar to play other things and to get a fast Crater Hoof out if you need the hoof, and then a Mox Diamond to help fuel the speed and get out like Thelon pretty quick or something. Those are the artifacts. We run Uno, Planeswalker, Vraska, the Golgari Queen, love her. 4 mana, +2, you may sacrifice another permanent, so Sapling. If you do, you gain 1 life and you draw a card. Very good. And then -3 if I need to, destroy a target non-land permanent with a mana cost 3 or less. This is going to hit every stacks piece that you really need to get off the board. And then if you can get there, normally not, but it's always funny to like, oh, I'm about to ultimate. You get an emblem. Whenever a creature you control deals damage to a player, that player loses the game. You're so wide that no matter what, a sapling is going to hit somebody. So the threat of this happening is pretty real. And we have doubling season. So this can come out as 8 loyalty. You +2 to get to 10. And then maybe you can -9 right away. Things with doubling season 2 is that loyalty counters are put onto the Planeswalker. So this does get doubled. But this is an activated ability. So this does not double. You only get +2 because you're not putting it on there. It's part of a cost, right? It's before the colon. This gets put on. Kind of weird. Actually very weird. Played wrong for a long time, but like that's just how things work. And then we will go to our lands. We got Tranquil Thicket, comes in tapped at a green mana, but you can cycle it for green. Very good. Polluted Delta, Virgin Catacombs. Got Phyrexian Tower. If you have the fodder, like I've said before, sacrifice creature, add 2 black. Just being able to speed up is very good, and being an untapped land. So there's no cost. But being able to speed up is good. Strip Mine, get rid of people's pesky lands. Being only a 2-color deck, we can't afford a lot of like these colorless cards. Basics. Orin Reef of the Vastwood. Love this card. Comes to play tapped. Add a green, but you can tap it, put a +1/+1 counter on each green creature that entered the battlefield this turn. So Corpse Jack's Menace coming in, going to be awesome. Mycoloth, just huge boards. Or like all my fungi can just accumulate spore counters, right? More and more and more. And then I get to choose when I want to deploy out all my stuff at instant speed. So I can wait. They have all these spore counters on them, and they're just ready to like unload, and I'll wait until it's about to be my turn, and on my opponent's turn, spread them all out. Orin Reef of Vastwood, get them huge, and just close out the game usually from there. Llanowar Waste, Painland, Westville Abbey. This card is hilarious, and you can get it off pretty easily with Thelon. Untapped land, comes in colorless. You can pay 5, tap it, pay life, put a 1/1 white and black human cleric creature token on the battlefield. Rarely ever happens, but can happen. It's nice to have another creature, doubling season, stuff like that. But pay 5, sacrifice 5 creatures, transform it into bam, bam, bam. Ormidal, Profane Prince. 9/7 flying, lifelink, indestructible haste. Just amazing. Just such a cool, flavorful card. Love it, love it, love it. Then we got a Bayou, of course. This one is real, a little beat up, but a nice looking one. Then we have the Shockland, Overgrown Tomb, Windswept Heath, Evolving Wilds, a Golgari Rot Farm. It's a bounce land, comes in battlefield tapped, but it enters battlefield, return a land you control to its owner's hand, but it taps for 2, so it doesn't lose you on, because you have to bounce another land. It doesn't lose you a turn, but what it does is actually gains you card draw. It's kind of card advantage. So in the slower games, I'm kind of a slower deck. I play a forest, right? Use my forest, hopefully. Play this tap land, put this into my hand, and then I can play the forest later. It's basically like I drew another forest, a card. Nixos, Shrine to Nyx. Very good. Untap land. Pay 2, choose a color, then add mana pool amount to the mana equal to your devotion of that color. I think Blue Burrow just came out, and that World Tree is something I'm very interested in this deck, which is very similar, but cares about Kindred. This is your devotion, which Thelon already has double green pip, which is pretty awesome. So this is pretty decent. Another fetch land. We got Bajuka Bog. I love running Bajuka Bog if I'm running crop rotation. Remember that 1-drop, instant speed, sack a land, search a library for a land, put that into play. So if I have this open and my opponent's trying to reanimate or do anything funny with their graveyard, you crop rot into Bajuka Bog. Bajuka Bog is an ETB, uncounterable if they don't counter this. Exile their graveyard, that they would have to have like a stifle or something to stop that. Super good. Marsh Flats. Let's see, Woodland Cemetery. Enters battlefield tapped unless you control a swamp or a forest. Barrenmoor, just like Tranquil Thicket. Pay black to cycle it. Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth. Each land is a swamp in addition to its other types. Command Tower, the best land. You gotta be playing it. Myriad Landscape. Slow, tapped, but pay 2, sacrifice it, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards that share a land type, right? You need to be the same land. Double forest, double swamp. Put them on the battlefield tapped. Tainted Wood. adds colorless untap land, but you can add a black or a green only if you control a swamp, which like Bayou and Overgrown Tomb with my fetch lands, you usually have it. Field of Ruin, sacrifice it, destroy target non-basic land opponent controls. Each player searches their library for basic land, puts it on the battlefield, then shuffles, which is kind of funny. This is like a kind of a tech for like top of the deck tutors. I like doing it because each player has to search their library. It's not just the one you targeted to destroy their land. It's everybody on the field. So everyone has to shuffle their library on top if they're like brainstorming something funny, or I don't know, Sensei's Divine top. This card actually comes up a lot better. And like I said, we're a slow deck. We want to like control the board with Trinisphere, Strip Mine. Like we need to really control the board to make sure we can do our thing late. Our Gaia's Cradle, gotta have it. Crop rotation, we're huge into the deck. Twilight Mire, I'm a big fan of these filter lands. Misty Rainforest, Wooded Foothills, that one's real. And then we have Uno Swamp. So that means Mirrored Landscape. You're going to find our forests, and we run 6 forests. And that is Thelon. Boom. Thelon of Havenwood. This is what kind of like the epitome of my first commander deck ever was. Just I fell in love with Saprolines. I liked Ghave. I was in Shards of Alara when I first started out, and then this new precons came out for the first time, and like everyone's like, ooh, commander, what is this? I chose Ghave and just stuck with me to the end, and this is what the deck was supposed to be before going full cEDH. So this is what I love to go if I wanted to go back home. And has a special place in my heart. Thelon, you're now the new like old school fun fungi deck. If you just want to have a fungi come around, build Thelon. And we will go to my tier lists and see where they lie within whatever my ecosystems are. See you there. All right, we're back with the fun favorite level. What I like to play, I get most excited. I just wanted to make this one personally for myself. Thelon is definitely up there. He's fun. He's unique. I don't know if he's either A tier or slightly below at B tier. He kind of loses a lot, but he's definitely fun. I'm going to put him in B tier, just right above dinosaurs, because it just has that special place in my heart. And I hope right now they're all above B tier. I hope it stays this way, but I might learn something new that my next commander decks that I need to take apart. That's basically why I'm making this. As I said, I need just 20 decks. You just can't play all your commander decks. I've disassembled a lot, and this is just going to show me, hopefully, my personal of what I need to keep and what I might need to change out. We're going to move on to then the competitive level. All right, we're around to the competitive level, and Thelon's, fungi is a very old mechanic. It's very slow, but I do have, to my best abilities, the best stacks pieces, the best tutors, the best, Craterhoof finishes, sack outlet, aristocrat stuff. So it is up there. I'm going to put it still probably below dinosaurs in the B tier. It's probably not at C tier. It might be a high C, but I'm going to say it's probably a B. Is it a high C? We'll put it at bottom B for now. Things might change a little bit later as we compare it to more and more decks. Like I said, we are only 1/4 of the way done with our decks. Hopefully you could stick around to see more. The deck list of Thelon's down below. I have more here. Just check out the playlist of Commander deck techs here at MTG Place, and you'll see all of these decks. And yeah, just thanks for watching and sticking around. Check out more here on MTG Place. We have plenty of videos here, guys. We have Discord to hang out and talk to us. Let me know if you like those decks. You can comment on my tapped out decks. Tell me in the comments that I need to switch all of my deck lists, some Moxfield. I know, I'm old school. They're on Tapped Out. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you next time.